Jason, tough question here.
Yeah.
What do I do to contest a will or a trust that I believe was created by a person who drafted it in that didn't have the capacity to do it, or was maybe under some sort of undue influence?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the most difficult situations to be in is to receive a set of documents from a loved one that disinherits you, or leaves you less than you thought you were going to get, or
And
should
you've seen
get.
this before.
We've seen it many times. We see it weekly. We have people calling saying, "I was left out of the will. I shouldn't have been. There's no way this is what my mom, grandfather, sister, brother would have wanted." And so, we definitely take those cases, but they're very hard to prove.
Yeah.
And so, as people age, a lot of times people will draft documents in the throes of Alzheimer's and things like that. But that does not necessarily mean they don't have capacity. Yeah. So the first thing we look at is, did they have capacity? Things like that. We run into this on the estate planning side of things, where we're going, hey, if we have a question, would the doctor sign off saying?
Sure.
And so, if you can prove the person did not have capacity, then the document itself that you're contesting would be set aside, like it didn't exist. But the problem with that is that you're filing a petition with the court, hoping that happens, hoping that there's some evidence you don't know about that would prove it. And it may just be that you were just a really rotten kid and you got cut out because you deserved it.
Sure.
I very rarely will draft documents that cut children out. It just feels unnatural to me. But there are certain times, whether it's drugs or abandonment or whatever, where just because someone's old doesn't mean they don't get to make decisions.
Right.
They still get to decide.
Yeah.
And if you're going to ignore your mom for 15 years before she dies, you can't show up surprised that you got left out.
Right.
And so the other thing would be undue influence. Now, let's just say the document suddenly leaves the money to a friend or neighbor or a professional, CPA or something like that, or even the attorney. We've seen that before. We'd go, wait a minute, why would my mom or my dad have left money to these people I don't know? In fact, they did a will 20 years ago and it said equally to the kids. And so in those situations, the person has got to prove that there was undue influence. And so you look at things like, was the person, a caretaker? Was the person in a position to exert undue influence? Was the disposition or what the trust or will ended up saying unnatural, meaning it didn't go to the kids? And can you prove somehow that this happened? And so there is a process to do that. I'm very picky about those cases because they're very tough to prove. Sure. And so I've even had medical records that looked really good, but then when you dug in, there was things you didn't know. And so, that's the process.